everybody, this is Patty with the Leather Lady. Welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit, just real quickly, about children's saddles. I'm doing this one here as a refurbishment. It's an heirloom and they wanted to just have it all cleaned up. Pretty much there, however, we still need to add a couple more coats of oil. But the thing is, I want to share with you in picking out a child's saddle, especially if it's an older one, to be aware of a few things, as well as looking for some things. A lot of people aren't really clear on how to measure a seat for a Western saddle, and this can pertain to childs or adults. So when you're going to measure a child's saddle, one of the things that you want to look for is the seat size, okay, and how old your child is and where they fit. So you want to measure the seats in inches or wherever you're from the pommel to the cantle where your butt is going to sit. Okay, right here. And you want to do it in a straight line. English saddles are done at a diagonal. If you're picking a English saddle, you want to do it from the button all the way to the center. However, in Western saddles, we do it differently, and we do it from a straight line. Okay. The other thing to look for is, do they have trapaderos? Trapaderos are a safety type stirrup. And if they are trapaderos, because if you want to repair these, could be a little difficult, especially if what you want to look for is, and I don't know if you're going to get it on this one, is that they are not split. So most of the stirrups in a child saddle is wood. So make sure that they're not split, especially if you're there where these conchos are, there's like a bolt through there. For the wood, just make sure that they're not split for safety reasons, definitely for safety reasons. Okay, and the other thing to look for is how well the saddle is made. Now this one is very, very interesting because we're going to show you something here in a second. Is that it's very old, it wasn't taken care of very well. So is the leather super hard? If it's super hard, it may not be able to come back and get soft. It's skin. If you let your skin go dry, over and over and over and over and over again, it becomes very hard, brittle, cracked, and then it sloughs off. Same with cow skin, same thing. So you're going to see a lot of cracks in here. Okay, I don't know if you can catch those or not. My GoPro camera just went down, so I'm doing this on the fly. The other thing is the big thing. Of course, you want it to fit your child, or you want any saddle to fit you. And how do you know if it does fit? Okay. So when you measure this, maybe you're going to get, for children, maybe 9, 10, 12 inches here. You want to make sure that there's at least 2 fingers for children and 3 fingers or 4 fingers for adults. Just depends on how much room you want. Okay, but you don't want your body crammed up against the pommel. So make sure you have for your children at least a good 2 inches to 3. I use my fingers, 2 to 3 fingers, and that would actually help them be able to maneuver in the saddle. And it just depends on where your fenders are lying. That's a whole different video, but definitely want to make sure that. Now the most important, excuse me, is I'm refleecing this. I'm putting a new sheepskin on the bottom. These sides are really super weak, and I thought, gosh, you know, it shouldn't be that curly. It shouldn't be that weak. You know how these are sort of really, look at how turned they are. And I thought, what is going on underneath this saddle? Because if we look at the underside, surprise, and you will not know this until you buy this saddle and pull it apart, is that some of these saddle makers of old times, whoops, they put cardboard. Yep, they put cardboard instead of a leather shim in the saddle. Is that a bad thing? Well, look what happens. It all falls apart, it breaks apart, it dissipates. It does not hold the form of the saddle at all. What they could have done, and maybe they just didn't have the means to do it, and just threw cardboard in there because it was hard at the time, but what you can do is actually put a nice shim of leather in there, maybe a 3 ounce, maybe a 4 ounce in there to stiffen this up, which I'm going to do as a gift for them. They are not going to pay for that because I just want this to be a good heirloom for them. The last thing is, when you guys are this is the sheepskin on the bottom of this. This is pretty bad. A sheepskin is it that one? Yeah. But it was pretty bad. But when you're buying a saddle for a child or an adult, Be really mindful to put your hands over that fleece. This is the key point for your horse. You want to see if there's any worn spots on that fleece. You want to see if any parts of that are really depressed and felted. Felted means that it's been melded together, you know, really, really hard and melded together. It's matted, like we would do in a llama or a dog or a sheep or whatever, their fur gets matted. You don't want that. You want, because right there, somebody's creating a pressure point. They're putting too much stress on that area. Most of us ride on the left more than the right, so we end up having squishing our felt or our fleece down on the left. However, this piece of sheepskin concerns me, not because it's pieced together, which they did, is if you look at it very, very closely, you can see it's bending there. These are probably scraps that he put together, and this is the front of the saddle. So your pressure points mostly, because most people ride forward rather than in the stirrups. So that's where your center of point is that now you've got all these, he didn't splice the sheepskin together properly. What he did was he serged them together, it looked like, or whipped them together. And so it created a bump. Now, so what? It's a little bump, right? No, it isn't. The problem is those create stress points. So you want to make sure that it's one full fleece. Don't hesitate to put your hand over that fleece. Dig your fingers in there. Make sure that it's all one piece. Make sure that it's nice and not matted. Look and see what side, if one side's dirtier than the other, that kind of a thing, because that pushes it down. There's ways to clean fleece and fluff it up. However, you just don't want to be paying for something that's going to cause your horse's back some pain. All right. But in a child's saddle, kids are light and everybody's like, well, they're just light and they're just playing around. But you don't want an extra vet bill because your horse is sort of moving around and gimpy and hurting and sore and all that kind of stuff too, because kids can be hard on horses and ride really hard, or, you know, no matter how, if they're light or not, if that cinch is tightened, that saddle down and there's pressure points, and now you've got rub points from your fleece, that might be one of the reasons why your little guy is acting up. Not the child, but the horse. All right. So when you're looking at the child saddle or an adult saddle, just be sure to make sure you go over it fully. And if you, I get a lot of men say, I bought this saddle for $50. Can you clean it up and make it? No, if it's too old, if it's not been taken care of, if the leather's hard as rock, pass it up. Pass it up, because it's going to cost you more to recondition and restore that saddle to at least be a somewhat good condition. So make sure to check the seat size, make sure that the bottom is good, make sure that your wood stirrups don't have splits in them. I just fixed a saddle that they didn't even have a clue it was split. All you have to do is put your foot too hard in there, stand up in the stirrups, and your stirrup's gone. So big safety issue. And have fun. Don't forget to watch my YouTube channel, The Leather Lady LLC, or even go to my website for products, services, all kinds of things at theleatherladyllc.com. Have a great day. Don't forget to walk in absolute truth and love. Take care now.